during those prime time hours, 8:15 to 8:30 in the morning, we'll see people doing pending business, we'll see people surfing the net, we'll see people, they had a good day on Monday, so they're doing those apps. All of those things can be done after lunch, before the 2 o'clock meeting. That you have to make that time so valuable, because those are the times when people are home. You're gonna catch them before they go to work, or you're gonna catch them when they're getting up in the morning. I'll give you a prime example of that. It wasn't last week, it was the week before when I called out $8,000 on that Friday. That wasn't annuities. Those were all appointments. And those were all appointments that I booked from info free leads that I got from John an hour before. Okay? So, those weren't annuities, those were info free leads. I went upstairs to John, I gave him 5 counties, he gave me some info free leads, I went in my car, I stayed in my car from 8:30 to 11:30, I booked those appointments, and at the end of the week I had $8,000 worth of commission. That's how you do it. There really isn't any magic to it. It's just you have to do what they tell you to do and what works. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, although there's a lot of ways to make this happen. One of the most effective ways is to really take those leads, go in your car or go in a quiet place and just book the appointments. So all of those activities, all those what I call auxiliary activities that you guys do in the morning, do it in the afternoon, okay? What I think about in the morning is, what am I doing to make myself money? If I'm doing pending business, if I'm printing out apps, if I'm surfing the web, if I'm talking to my neighbor, that's not making me any money, What I look at is, there's no money in this office. All the money is outside, okay? How do I get outside? I get outside by getting on the phone. So you really gotta be diligent about doing that. And how I do that is, if I have a great Monday, you know what I'll do? I'll stay up till 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning and complete those apps, get all of that stuff done at home, so when I get in the morning, all I have to do is scan it to myself and give it to John, and then I can get on the phone. So it's about time management. Any questions on that? Okay, so let me transition into, what do I say on the phone? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just thought of it.
No,
What about the weekend? Do you feel like that's a good time to book for people that might be part-time working or something like that, and that's another time you can catch them?
that is an excellent time. Saturday morning is like gold.
Yeah,
Almost everybody's home. Nobody has doctor's appointments.
right.
I usually get on the phone about, if that time's available, get on the phone about same time, 8:30. Usually, you can book more. Talk about quality. You can book more appointments from 8:30 to 11 on a Saturday than you can on a Tuesday,
Right.
because everybody's home, and also they're in a different mindset.
Yeah.
They're really not expecting you to call.
Yeah. I
They're
like
not
that.
in that kind of business mode, so you find that they're more relaxed. They're less combative, so to speak.
Mhm.
So you can be very successful. Also, too, if I'm not booked up, I have called on Sunday. Now, usually when I call on Sunday, I usually call between 6 and 8,
Okay.
okay, in the evening. So that's a good time to call as well. If people are going to church and stuff like that, they're usually home. Most people have an early dinner on Sunday. So if you start calling about 6:30, between 6:30 and 8, you can contact people as well,
Mhm.
okay? Transition to what I say on the phone. A lot of us have our own technique. We have scripts. We know what to say, what not to say. I don't think it's really what you say, because we pretty much all say the same thing. I'm calling, make sure you got a card in the mail a week or so ago, that sort of thing. So what kind of sets us apart from the other guys that are out there are doing the same thing? And I think it goes back to what Tony Robbins says about our tonality, our inflection, what we, not only what we say on the phone, but how we say it. How do we set ourselves apart from all of the mail that they're getting, they're turning 65, all of the people that are calling. I've had several times where people have said to me, I don't know why I set up the appointment with you, I had 3 other agents call, okay? Or, you know what, I had other agents in my house, but I'm gonna do business with you. So what is setting me apart? Not because of some magic formula, it's just that you have to know how to relate to the client. I've talked before jokingly about, someone, if I pick up the phone and you got a guy on the other end, he's like, hey, this is Joe, how you doing? I say, hey, this is Norman, how you doing? So it's that inflection, it's the tonality, is to kind of, what you have to do is kind of, our personality has to resonate through the phone with the person that we're talking to. So if you can make that connection over the phone by raising your voice, lowering your voice, whispering. I'm often apologetic. I say, hey, Mrs. Jones, my apologies. The reason why I'm calling is because I'm just calling to make sure you got a card in the mail about a week or so ago regarding your Medicare benefits, okay? I know she's gonna say yes or I don't remember, and I'll say, let me go through the whole thing. So I'll say, it seems like, I'll make a joke, seems like everybody knows you're turning 65, you're a celebrity now, and I'll get a little chuckle out of that. Okay, and then I'll raise my voice just a little bit of crescendo. The reason why I'm calling, now when I raise my voice, I get that inflection, the reason why I'm calling, in your mind is like, oh, this guy is different than the other guy. He's getting ready to tell me something a little different. The reason why I'm calling is because, there's products and services and benefits that you're entitled to when you turn 65. I might say you can get dental and vision and eyeglasses and prescription drugs, okay? And then I'll bring my voice back down and then I'll say, did anybody help you with that yet? Notice how I use those words, benefit, help. Okay, what does that say? It doesn't say salesperson, it says, you know what, this is a guy that's trying to help me out, okay? Did anybody help you with that? Oh, they didn't? Well, what I do, now I'll raise my voice back up again, what I do is I sit down with folks and I help them get on free programs, I help them get extra services that are available to them when they get on Medicare. I'm actually gonna be up in your area on Wednesday. Are you folks usually home during the day? Notice how I said folks, that's a whole southern thing I can't understand. You folks usually home during the day? Yeah, we're home, or I got a doctor's appointment. And one of the things that I noticed that, when we first start out, we're so excited that we got to go on an appointment that we don't qualify that appointment. And a lot of the times you'll see agents that they'll have 15 or 20 or 25 appointments even, but they'll make less than $1,000, okay? Cornerstone preaches quantity, 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 15 to 21 appointments a week. I agree with that, but you know what? I'm not gonna spend $70, $80 worth of gas and make less than $1,000. So not only do we want the quantity, we also want the quality of the appointments. So, which means, you know how we preach fact finder, fact finder, fact finder in the house? Well, that same mentality should be over the phone, right? So what I do is I qualify that appointments over the phone. And if I'm not getting those guests, or if I'm not seeing where, I can be of service to that person, I move on to the next. I got a list of 80 people I can call. So why waste my time hoping that there's something there that I can do? Now granted, you're probably gonna leave a little money on the table with that concept, but overall, weed out the people that you can't help. Don't waste your time and be in a house where you can be more productive. So how I do that is, okay, I'll say what I just said, and then if she says, well, I already have Care Improvement Plus, okay, we've all ran into that. Okay, so if you already have Care Improvement Plus, what I'll do is offer, okay, because when I offer, I usually get something back, so I might start telling her about the free mail order generic drugs, or how there's dental, or how there's vision, something that another agent didn't tell her, either she forgot or she wasn't aware of. Okay, so I'll start going through that. I might even offer some low-income assistance programs over the phone. So what I'm doing is I'm extending an olive branch to that person. I'm telling them things that are of benefit to them. I'll say, well, you know what? Here's the number for Optimum RX. When you get off the phone with me, you can contact them and set yourself up for free generic drugs. How many people are gonna, turn a blind eye to that or act nasty after that, okay? So now what I'll say in order to transition, because now I know she already has life insurance. There might not be anything, now I know she already has health insurance. So now what I'll do is I'll transition. You know what I do with all my Care Improvement Plus clients, because I'm licensed with United Healthcare, is I offer a free life insurance review. So on that free life insurance review, what I do is I found a lot of areas where I was able to help folks. There's some folks that might have borrowed money. There's some folks that have term policies that their premiums started going up and they don't know why. There's some folks that spent more money into the product than what they're getting back, that sort of thing. And if I keep naming things, sooner or later, I'm gonna hit something that's gonna resonate with them. You'd be surprised how many times people will just divulge information. They'll say something, had a lady tell me that she had AARP. We ended up doing, she had an AARP term policy. Premium increases every 5 years, it cancels at age 80. So I'll tell her a little bit. I said, well, you know what, when you turn 80 years old, you're not gonna, that life insurance policy is gonna cancel. We offer whole life policies, okay? I'm gonna be up in your area tomorrow. I usually get my day started about 9 or 9:30. That's not too early for you, is it? verify the address, and I said, you know what, dear, if it's possible, if you can locate your policy, then we can take a look at it. If not, we could talk about it when I get there, okay? So now, she knows what I'm coming to talk about. She knows that I have something of benefit to talk to her. So now it's less likely that she's not gonna be there, and it's less likely that I'm gonna get porched. So this way, now, I just turned a health insurance appointment into a life insurance appointment. It might have taken an extra couple of minutes on the phone, but in my mind, what I did is I qualified that appointment. So now I know there's probably an 80+% chance that I'm gonna do business in that house. So this way, that's what you have to do, ask the right question. Okay, let's go back to health insurance real quick. If we talk about, okay, she doesn't have Care Improvement Plus, I just have the Medicare. Okay, do you have Medicare A and B? What else do you show the hospital and doctors besides your Medicare card? Okay, is dental and vision or eyeglasses something that you've been looking for? That sort of thing. So it's all about qualifying the appointment because you don't want to waste your time. And you don't want to waste her time as well, okay? Any questions on that?
Do you ever find that they're abrasive if you approach the life insurance part of it after the Medicare part of it? I have one like that, where it's just like they just kind of stop cold and say, my life insurance is in order. I thought this was a Medicare call.
Right, yes.
I've had that happen a few
Oh,
times. How do you
absolutely.
get over that hurdle
Absolutely.
as to not be so pushy that you went straight from Medicare to life insurance?
Well, you know what? It's more of a transitional thing, and I use transitional phrases like I said, you know, we offer a free life insurance review. Or, you know what, in that case right there, I'm saying, you know what, my apologies, man, what we try to do is not only help people with health insurance, also with life insurance as well. And here's what I found when I've sat down with people, okay? So you always want to make them feel like, hey, you know what, I might be missing out on something. Or free life insurance review. And I'll say, I might go a little further and say, you know what, I'm not trying to sell you more life insurance. I'll take a look at your life insurance, okay? If there's some red flags, I'll let you know. If you have a great policy, I'll be the first one to tell you you do, and hopefully maybe I can help others as well. Put them in the same situation that you're in. You see? So that's what I did. Any other questions on that?
How much of the warm-up do you feel like if you're in a house with somebody and they just want to do, you know, talk about Medicare the whole time, or they're concerned about a DVH policy or something, do you feel like do you just exclude the warm-up altogether and just get straight to business if they want to kind of be in that frame, or do you always kind of resort back to the warm-up regardless?
What I do is I actually kind of include everything in a conversation, okay? What I try to do is talk about what they want to talk about, get them to talk about themselves. Everybody loves to talk about themselves, you know, besides the grandkids on the wall and that sort of thing. Usually I start off my warm-up about like, you know what did you used to do when you were working? Or are you still working? Those type of things. I try to find that out. A lot of times I can find a common ground, either they're from New York where I am, or, you know, they used to drive truck or something like that. Get them to talk about themselves and say, wow, that must be, you know, a lot of the times, you know, they grew up in a very influential time frame, such as, you know, a lot of people that we talk to, you know, they remember Martin Luther King, they remember Kennedy, they remember, you know, all of those, all of those things, and you could talk about that. You know, they like talking about it too because that was their era growing up.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is kind of breaking down that barrier, you know, and kind of getting into their world a little bit, get them talking, you know, a little laugh, a little joke, kind of, you know, what I'm trying to do is transition it from a kind of sales kind of presentation to, hey, you know what, we're just two guys talking.
Right.
You know, oh, and by the way, I can help you with your life insurance as well, or I can help you with your health insurance. The mindset, when I'm talking on the phone, how I talked about, you know, how to get my personality across. A lot of times I feel that we're all more effective in the house than we are on the phone, and a lot of the times I know that their whole kind of demeanor changes, especially when I do door knocks. When they see me, when, you know, I talk about, because the same things that I talk about over the phone, I talk about at the door. So if I'm gonna door knock, what I'll do is I'll say, hey, you know what, you sent in a card, or, you know, we sent you a card a week or so ago, you didn't respond, I happen to be in the neighborhood, this is what we're helping folks in the neighborhood do, you know? So you come from a position of help instead of a position of a salesperson, okay? Any questions on that? That was the mindset. We talked about technique, we talked about just how to get your personality across on the phone. As far as technique is concerned, we all use the same type of technique. Is there anything that any of you feel that are working better than what you've used in the past? Anyone?
Yeah, I got a question as far as like on the phone. Do you feel like there's certain times like, you know, instead of letting, do you kind of let the person, if they want to divulge information about whatever kind of, you know, health insurance they have, and they're going on for 5 or 10 minutes talking, you know, do you let them, or do you want to, is that a
Yeah.
key thing to just kind of let them spill the beans?
Yeah, I kind of let them talk a little bit, because a lot of the times you'll find out you'll get more information by listening than by talking.
Mhm.
So I'll kind of let them talk, and a lot of times they'll basically tell you what they're looking for or what they have. And people love to contradict you or love to prove you wrong or incorrect. So what I'll say is, you know, okay, if I'm talking about like, so you got about a $10,000 policy, right? No, I got a 15. What are you paying, about $60 a month? No, I'm paying 75. Whatever they say, they're paying too much. You know, it's just basically in my mind. And also too, we run into people all the time that'll tell you, hey, you know what? 2 years ago, I bought a $50,000 policy, and I'm only paying $19 a month. Well, we all know what that is, right? Right. So that's when I start to explain that a little bit to them, and I find like people love to be educated too. If you explain to them what type of policy they have or what type of policy you think they have, and you can get that across them where they start to second guess what they've purchased, that's a good appointment as well, because now you're going to fill in that other piece of the puzzle for them.
It's a good way to get their income too, just kind of throw a number out there, usually higher, because they'll always say, no, I don't get that much, I get. You know.
Right, exactly. They'll love to contradict you and give you the information that you need. Now, let me talk a little bit about the clothes. My presentation that I do in the house is strictly based on education. I don't have any sleight of hand or anything like that. What I do is I try to educate them on what they already have. That's the first thing I do. Especially if you have a UL or you have a term, I'll explain to them what that is that they have. So I'll kind of start from the beginning and then work my way forward. Okay, so I explain, okay, if you have a universal life policy, there's something that's built in called the cost of insurance. I'll say, hey, you're paying $50 a month and the cost of insurance is $75 a month. Where's that difference coming from? And how that works and what the consequences are. Then I'll say, in contrast, what I offer is this, and here's why. If I'm going up against a UL, okay, I offer a guaranteed UL. That means it's going to last to age 121. It's going to build cash value. The premiums are going to stay the same. So in their mind, what they're doing now, I'm comparing apples to apples, but my apple is a little bit better and shinier than their apple. You see? So now I can so once I start to educate them, then they feel engaged. Okay? Now they feel like, okay, now I'm no longer a salesperson to them. Now what I am is I'm a partner that's going to help them get a better product than what they already have. Okay? So that's what I do. And usually my clothes has always been the same ever since I started. And it's really nothing elaborate. I know Dave talked a little bit about the takeaway. I've tried that once or twice. That is effective. But usually my clothes is, does that make sense to you? All right. Can you do me a favor and go get your driver's license? And that's what I say. That's what I say. And it's extremely effective, because if it doesn't make sense, then they're not, usually, if it doesn't make sense, what they want, more information, right? And usually what I find out in the field consistently, a lot of the times when people want to think about it, you know what they're concerned about? The 2-year contestability period. That's what they're concerned about. And through your dealings out in the field, when you come up on things that are consistent, what you do is you take all of those fears that they have and throw them right up front. This way they have no corner to turn. You talk about the 2-year contestability period. If you talk about, you know, how you can help them transition from their policy to your policy, if you talk about those things right up front, then what you do is you quell all their suspicions right up front. And then it's easier to make that transition. Okay. Any other questions on that?
Do you find a fear is like health questions? Do you throw that up front too? Like you feel like, oh, okay, well there's going to be some health questions. Have you had any major surgeries or that thing? That's what the life insurance companies look at. I feel like that's a good token to throw up front. to get that out of
Absolutely.
the way.
Matter of fact, what that does is that actually tells me what company I can use.
Mhm.
So if a person says, hey, you know what, I'm insulin dependent, and they're only looking for a 10 or 15,000, okay, so now you know, okay, they're insulin dependent. Now I'm thinking in my mind, either Transpremier or I'm thinking Royal Neighbors. Okay, so now I say, when were you diagnosed with diabetes? After the age of 30. Now I'm thinking Royal Neighbors, because Royal Neighbors is gonna give me a little bit better rate than Transpremier, because Royal Neighbors I can do a preferred, where Transpremier I gotta do a standard.
Rural Neighbors is lenient on the amount of.
Well, as long as you were diagnosed after the age of 30, it's preferred.
Okay.
Is it 30, I believe? 30, okay.
Okay.
So now I can do a Royal Neighbors, okay? Now, there's a lot of times that I'm getting the vibe in the house that this phone interview is not gonna go well. Okay? Any of you been there?
Yeah.
Okay, I go back to the Transpremier. It's a few more dollars difference, but I know it's gonna get done. Whereas I've had a situation where I did a Royal Neighbors and it got blown out of the water because the mother didn't hear the question and the daughter goes, Mama, just say yes.
No.
Done, right? So you gotta kind of feel out and see what's going on in the house and kind of get a vibe. And a lot of the times too, that, you know, the daughter wants to chime in, a lot of the times, don't look at her as an enemy. Look at her as a potential client as well. Okay, you're still working, I know you have life insurance on your job, do you have a private policy? Okay, a lot of times I use that word private policy, especially you're gonna, more and more now, I think since Social Security went to age 66 or 67 for you to retire now, you're gonna have more and more people working past 65. So now you gotta ask the question, okay, are you still working? Do you plan on working for the rest of the year? Okay, you know what, lady, I just did yesterday, she has health insurance with her employer, but it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. She's got a $2,900 deductible. So therefore, there is no copay. She goes to the doctor, she pays full price. She goes to the hospital, she pays full price until she meets that deductible. She doesn't want that. She's looking to get on Medicare. Okay? So those are the type of questions you can answer on the phone, ask on the phone as well. Are you still working? Do you plan on keeping your health insurance with your employer? Yeah, you have a life insurance policy with your employer. Are they gonna let you take that with you? Okay? Do you have a private policy? A lot of them will say no, they just rely on their employer. And I said, you know what, if you do take that policy with you from your employer, we all know, what are you taking? You're taking a term policy. That's probably gonna end at age 70 or 75. I wrote a lot of teachers up on life insurance policies because they found out that not only does it only go to age 75, a lot of times the premium will stay the same, but the face amount will drop in half.
Oh, your premium goes up in the face. And anybody working for PIVA has that Minnesota Life.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
that in mind. Minnesota Life's bad.
Yeah, we just did a gentleman 2 weeks ago, we just delivered the policy yesterday. He was prior military. He had a $100,000 SGLI, okay? I think by the time, the premium was gonna keep going up. Now, even though it was a term policy, it was gonna go forever, but by the time he's 75, it'll be $460 a month for the $400,000, okay? He had a lot of health issues. He had, I think it was over 18 medications that he brought out, okay? So what did we end up doing?
We ended up doing Royal Neighbors. He
Yeah.
had the veterans group life insurance. for
Yeah, the
his
SGLI,
military.
right. So anytime you see somebody with a VA, don't think all is lost. You know, a lot of VA benefits don't have dental, don't have vision, okay? And you can still do a Care Improvement Plus and it's not gonna affect their VA benefits. They work in tandem with each other, so don't feel like, you know what, you got TRICARE for life or you got VA and there's nothing I can do for you. A lot of the times, transition into life insurance as well. So do that transition over the phone is what I'm trying to say, okay? Danielle is very good about doing life insurance appointments over the phone. And it's just a matter of, really it's just a matter of getting the conversation started with the life insurance. Okay, any questions on that? But I think the most important thing is discipline in the morning. You gotta get on the phone at the right time. I hate booking appointments on the weekend. I feel like the weekend is my weekend, worked hard all week. I hate booking appointments in the evening. Sometimes you gotta do that, you know, and you have to make sacrifices with your family. But especially when you come in the office on Tuesday and you come in the office on Friday, all that, those apps or that preliminary work, try to do it at home, even if you gotta stay up an extra hour or so. Get that done, so when you come in the morning, all you have to do is book. All right, anybody else with that, on that?
Do you usually book like a couple weeks out, or you try
No.
to keep it in the moment?
No, you know what, I have tested that theory several times,
Right.
and I find you will, no.
We forget
No,
one day.
people- They have a very short memory span,
Mhm.
okay? I've even had issues where I come in on Tuesday, and on Thursday, I forgot you were coming, or I didn't know you were
Oh,
coming.
yeah, an insurance man's not a priority.
Right, exactly. So don't book it too far out, okay? You know, don't, like, okay, I'm booking for, you know, unless they specifically say, you know, like, we have a gentleman, his only days off are Monday and Tuesday. He works weekends. So Monday and Tuesday, that's his days. Okay, so if I get on the phone with him today, I'm gonna book for Monday next week.
Yeah.
But that's his day off.
Right.
And you best believe I'm gonna call first before I go out there.
Right.
You know, a lot of times you wanna qualify the appointment. You have to kinda know your client, when to call, when not to call. You know, you can kinda vibe, call me before you come. Why? So you can tell me don't come? Is that it? You know, if you're getting that vibe, you know, I knock, you know, I'm at the door and I said, you know what, I had a bad signal, I'm sorry, but I'm here now, hey. You know, and a lot of the times they see me, you know, and they match the name with, you know, they match the voice with the face. You know, and here's a little joke here, I get a little surprise every single time because of the simple fact, you know, everybody tells me I sound white over the phone. I don't know what that means, but I sound white over the phone. And then when I get to the house, they go, oh, hey, how you doing? Yeah, you thought I was white, didn't you? You know, sometimes that works in my favor, sometimes it doesn't. So, you know, a lot of the times I'll joke about it and I say, yeah, I sound white over the phone, but I look like Magic Johnson. So, I'll figure with that. But, you know, the important thing is to have a little fun with it and not to break the ice. And a lot of times this one lady, she kind of waited till like a half an hour into the presentation and said, you know what, I thought you were white over the phone. Yes. You know, it's,
That's all she was thinking about the whole time.
yeah, that's what she was thinking about the whole time. And I said, well, are you pleased now? So that's my time, folks. They told me not to go over, so it's 8:30 now. Have a great day. Any questions, email me or come